Hello everyone, I am here with a good old video that lots of people have asked for. I know this is a topic that I was really nervous about when I first started making comics and when I first started looking into printing my comics. I had no idea what I was doing, it all sounded very scary, and I was totally afraid of messing it up. So this will be a very quick guide, a very basic guide on how to prepare your comic pages for print and some things to consider before you even start making your pages if you plan to print them in the future. So here we go. So like I said, these things are really good to know before you start making your pages so that you can give yourself the best chance of having a really good printed book. But some things to consider before you start or, before you print your book. One is you should probably consider if you're going to do color comics versus a black and white comic, the size dimensions of your page, the DPI, that's a little bit more of a minor thing, and also you should probably understand what bleeds and gutters are because you'll save yourself a lot of headaches if you understand what the heck those are. And I know a lot of people ask about that a lot, and I had to look it up a lot when I started working with print, but hopefully this video will help clear up some misunderstandings about that stuff. So first, should your comic be in color or black and white? Honestly, that is totally up to you, but what you should know before going into printing is that color costs a lot more than black and white. There is a cost difference between printing black and white or in color. Color is always more expensive, as you can see on the right side, just through Lulu, which is a print-on-demand service that Bones and I use. To print a 100-page book in black and white, the cost would be $2.45 per unit, whereas the color of the same book, same amount of pages, would be $5.75. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're ordering a ton of books, it really adds up quickly. So if you're looking for something that's cheap to print and easy to print, definitely go for black and white. Black and white can also mean like grayscale as well. It just refers to black ink instead of using colored ink. So there you go. That is something to consider before you start making your comic or when you go to print. If you've already made it a color comic, you might be kind of locked in, but who knows? You might save yourself a headache if you're just starting your comic now. I should also say there's nothing wrong with printing in color. Color books are great. You can make amazing stories with colored comics, but just be aware of it before you go into it. Sorry, I keep remembering things. I'm sorry, Bones. Please edit this well. I believe in you. I'm very thankful for you. Anyways, okay. So you'll just need to know that when you are selling your books, because they cost more to print, they will cost more to your customer. So you can sell cheaper books and still make lots of money back by printing in black and white, whereas if you're printing color, instead of selling your books for $20, you might have to sell them for $40. So just be aware of that. So the next thing you really need to consider before you start or when you're looking to print is size dimensions. For obvious reasons, there are standard sizes for comic books and books in general. For example, if you look at, say, like a trade paperback versus like a mass market paperback, I think those two are different. Anyways, there's standard book sizes. You probably know them from fiction books or whatever, or comic books, because you probably own comic books if you like comics. So it's really important before you start making your comic page that when you're planning them out, consider what size the page will be. Because you don't want to have all your pages finished and then discover that they don't really fit to any book size, and it's going to be really hard to print, and you're either going to have to print them like super huge or super tiny or something that just doesn't lend well to your art. So it's really good to just understand what the sizes are before you start. So some common ones I pulled from a printing company called Print Ninja. Some of these common dimensions, one is the modern comic book / graphic novel. I think most people refer to it as like modern or standard comic book size. It's 6.625 by 10.25 inches. That one's pretty standard. We print 9 at a very similar size. I think we print about like 6 by 9. But yeah, that one's the most common. Traditional trade paperback is another one, which is very similar. but it's a little bit bigger. And then finally there's the manga size, which is a lot smaller. It's only 5 by 7.5 inches. And I'm sure you've seen them all. There you go. Those are some common sizes. Most printers will probably have those sizes, but always research your printer before you send them the pages, because you never know what sizes they have. In particular, Bones and I use a weird size for our Magpie books. We use Crown Quattro, which is a size on Lulu, which is a printing service we use. I don't know how available it is elsewhere. Probably everywhere. I don't know. But definitely know what you are planning to use before you start, and always talk to your printer to see what they have available. Yeah, and you don't have to do the standard sizes like the manga or the modern comic book. There's a wide variety of different book dimensions you can choose from, and whatever fits your story, go with that. Next is DPI. So this one is important when you're making your artwork. So there is a little disclaimer. I've been told for a long time that there's like a standard DPI that you need to use for color, printing color, or for printing black and white, and that is generally like 300 plus DPI for color and 600 plus DPI for black and white. But I think I've heard that it just depends on your printer that you're going with, and they can definitely tell you what the best DPI is. So you can always ask them, and I'm sure they'll tell you what the perfect one is. They might even just tell you 300 or 600. We'll see. But talk to them, see what's available. But what's really important is that when you are making your artwork, you use a high DPI, 300 at the very least. If you don't know what DPI is, it refers to dots per inch. So it's how many dots of ink go onto each inch of paper. So if you do not have enough DPI, then your images may come out blurry when you print them, or pixelated, not good. Whereas the higher the DPI, the more crisp the image will likely be, because it has a lot more density of dots or whatever. All you need to know is use a high DPI when you are working on your comic, for if you plan to print it. If it's too low, it's like near impossible to get it up to a higher DPI, but it's always possible to bring the DPI down. You can always go down, but you can't go up. Have a big file, a big DPI. However, what you should know is that it doesn't matter for screens what the DPI is. This one baffled me when I found out about it. But the recommended for screens is 72 DPI, but I don't exactly know where that comes from. I guess it's like the old standard screen resolution that doesn't matter anymore because we have like Retina screens now, so it's all different. But basically, the reason you want a small DPI to show on screens is just because it'll make your file size smaller, which is great for when you're posting it online and you don't want to have this huge image that takes forever to load. But honestly, you can have an image that has like 600 DPI or 1 DPI and put it online and they will look the same. As long as they're the same like pixel dimension, like say 800 pixels wide, they will look the same. There's no difference on screen. So what I recommend when you're working on stuff is work with a high DPI for if you ever want to print it. When you export it, lower the DPI so that it's a smaller file size. Now, bleeds and gutters. This is the thing that like confused me the most when I started with printing comic pages. I didn't understand what these terms were, and they freaked me out, and I was totally afraid of printing things wrong. So let me break it down for you. So if you look at the image on the right, the white box is the artwork. So it's the whole artwork, or I guess it's the printed page. You'll also see the red line around the edge called the bleed, the dotted blue line called the trim, and then the pink inner area called the safe area. I'm sure you've seen setups like this whenever you look at how to print stuff. They look super spooky and confusing. If you use Clip Studio Paint, they also have little blue lines that represent all these things, and you can set different margins and stuff like that when you're setting up your page. So let me explain these things. So the blue line there, the trim line. When a printer prints anything, it can't really print to the edge very well, or at all. I'm not sure. They don't generally print to the edge. Which means if you ever print something out, it will always have a white border around it. In most cases, a printer will print something out and then trim it and cut it down so that you have, say, like the whole artwork will go to the edge of the page. So the trim line is just where the paper is cut. It can get rid of the white border. Sometimes it can leave a white border. But that is where the page will be cut down to a smaller size. Printed pages, when they're first printed out of the printer, are also generally printed much larger than the actual size of the book, and then they're trimmed down to the proper size. Also, if you ever print something and it has the white border on it, that generally means that it does not have a bleed. That's also important to know. So then, what the heck is a bleed? Well, it's referring to this red line that I've drawn around this thing. A bleed is when you print past the trim line. So that means when you trim it down, the ink will go right to the edge of your paper, and there will be no white border. So basically what this means when you print something is you will be given a bleed line. The printer will usually specify like how far out from the edge of the artwork this needs to go, or I guess the edge of your canvas. So you just need to pull the artwork past that, or I guess accommodate for it. And when the page is cut down, your artwork will go all the way to the edge of the page instead of having a white border. That's all it means. And the safe area, the big pink square in the middle, that is where the majority of your artwork should go. Anything inside there is where your artwork is safe from being trimmed. So basically don't throw important artwork or say speech bubbles or something. Don't throw them really close to the trim line because there's a chance they'll be cut off. So there you go. I hope that answers your questions about those. Like I said, the concept of a bleed always freaked me out when I was working because I didn't understand it at all. But honestly, don't worry about it. If you're really worried about it and you don't understand it and you don't know what to do, just give your comics a white border. Just make sure all of your comic panels are within the safe area. Just use white space on the outside and you won't have to worry about a bleed at all. So there you go. Finally, gutters. This was a new one for me. I always forget about it, but Bones reminded me of it when he was working on our Magpie book last year. Yeah, last year. So when you print a book, unless it's like a saddle stitch or a stapled book, like one of those little comic issues, single issues, you will have parts of your page will disappear into the spine of your book. And like, it's super annoying when you're reading through a comic and part of the artwork has been shoved into the spine and you can't read it without like destroying the spine of your book. So just make sure that when you are laying out your pages, if you have to do this yourself, that you are leaving a little extra room on the side that touches the spine of the book to make sure that you don't shove any important content inside the gutters. These also shouldn't be confused with like the gutters between your panels. They're different, but the same name. There you go. Make sure to add a little extra space. Pay attention to which page is on, an even or an odd numbered page. You'll be good. Don't worry. If you're laying out your book and using, say, like InDesign, most of these features are like built in already. So you just plug some numbers in and there you go. Now, any of this stuff, if you're ever not sure like what numbers you need to plug in or how to set it up, you can always ask your printer, whether it's like a local print shop or it's like a template from a print-on-demand site like Lulu or CreateSpace. You can always ask. They will have all the answers for you. They work with lots and lots of different people, and they will be able to tell you how to format your pages the best so they can print them really pretty. There you go. I hope that helps. Like I said, it's really scary when you first do it, but that's what proof copies are for. Always make sure you get a proof copy. I mean, I don't think any printer you work with won't give you a proof copy. They don't want to print something and then you don't like it. So get a proof copy. If it doesn't work out, you can always change things, get another proof copy before you order 7 million books that all have problems in them. So there you go. I hope this helps. Thank you for watching. I hope that clears up some questions. Yeah, go print your books and share them with people. Books and formatting books and printing them. They're really fun. It's really satisfying once you get into it. So go out and enjoy yourselves and do real good. Thank you so much for watching. We are back doing a stream this Saturday and I'm excited. And as always, we will be doing an after party after our streams. Not as always, we just started doing it this month. But there will be an after party after the stream on Saturday where you can watch movies with me and Bones. I think we're going to watch some episodes of the original Pokemon series. So yeah, you can just hang out and chat with us and watch some good cartoons. Yeah, that will be Saturday, probably 4 p.m. EST. Oh, And I should say, the way that you can get into movie night and the after party is by going to our Patreon and supporting us. I think it's like $5 to get to the movie night tier. But there's a few other cool things you can sign up for, like getting art critiques or playing art games with me and Bones for these after parties. Go check it out. There's a link in the description down below. As soon as you sign up, you are able to join in. So there's nothing stopping you, I guess. Unless you don't have money, but that's also okay. Because you still get to hang out with us at the stream. And we still love you and thank you for supporting us. And I should go. I'm really tired. Okay, goodbye.